And speaking of pointless and sometimes petty, I think we may have an answer to why Vince McMahon is the way he is. According to a former WWE creative writer, they discuss Vince McMahon having memory lapses.
Oh, shit.
What?
This may actually explain a few things, particularly like in the last 6 to 7 years, why things are not going the way it has been. And the article is former WWE creator discusses Vince McMahon having memory lapses, Vince's view of women's wrestling in 2014, and which women Vince found unattractive. Vince, love you, but keep it classy. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
The article reads, the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast recently interviewed former WWE creative team member Kevin Eck, who discussed working for WWE and Vince McMahon. Below are some highlights via transcript, and that's from WrestleZone.com. Eck on Vince McMahon having wrestling lapses. As Vince has gotten older, I think he has become more forgetful with things, and there are a lot of instances where he had to be reminded. He would just flat out ask, what did we do on Raw last week with this guy? What did we do? He would need to be caught up on speed. Granted, he was in his late 60s, early 70s at that point, and responsible for a lot of programming, seen a lot of angles over the years, and seen a lot of TV shows. One of the funniest things I recall is Vince one time at a booking meeting. It was Brock Lesnar against somebody, and Vince was trying to think of what finish could he literally says this in a booking meeting. He said, "What's Brock's finish again?" It wasn't a joke. There was that kind of pause, and somebody spoke up and just said the F5. Then it suddenly dawned on Vince that he had taken that move not too long before that and hurt his hip and made a joke about it. Oh, that's right. My hip didn't like that move very much. He could not remember the F5. Kevin Eck on Vince McMahon's views of women wrestling and divas in 2014. Oh, good Lord, this should be controversial.
Oh, boy.
When I was there in 2014, and it was the divas for sure, and Vince would use the line, our fans don't want to see the girls fight like the guys. Whenever there was suggestion of more of a wrestling type match or some sort of stipulation, whether it be Falls Count Anywhere or whatever it might have been, it was, no one wants to see that. He would look at the girls. He would call them girls, and that's why I'm saying girls as providing a sexuality aspect of the show. Let's get some sexuality on the show, which meant let's get a women's match on the show. You would get a 3 or 4 minute match and get the women in the ring, and guys can see hot women. That would be a nice buffer to the next men's match. That's the way they were promoted. That era, Carmella or Alexa Bliss, absolutely, they were perfect champions for that era, but not today. Eck on the women Vince McMahon found unattractive. Oh, boy.
Oh, this ought to be good.
The women that I heard that Vince found unattractive would blow your mind, like Caitlyn, not attractive. Pardon me.
Excuse me? She was attractive. Are you kidding me?
That woman is gorgeous.
Yes.
Dude, are you blind?
There's something controversial I could add to that, but no, I'm going to try and take the high road for once. That would just blow my mind. I just couldn't believe some of the things I used to hear. I'll tell you what, he grew to love AJ Lee. Good man. That whole storyline she did with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, he grew to love her just as a character. I think that's why AJ got the push, because obviously she didn't fit the cookie cutter mold of a diva either. Nothing against them, but the Bella Twins, Kelly, that was the mold of the WWE women. Oh, fuck right off. Kelly could not wrestle out of a paper bag.
Oh, God.
She was thrown over like a sack of potatoes by Nia Jax.
Somewhere out there, Oni is screaming as if hearing that. Ah!
Okay, where's the vodka?
No. Let's not, guys. We don't want to blow the Oni flute and summon the Oni Zord, because that's something nobody needs to see.
No.
Actually, in that instance, who would be the poor schmuck that would actually blow the Oni flute? You imagine like Raider being Imagine like Raiden's handed the flu. It's like, don't give it to me, man. I don't want to summon him.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't want a headache.
Lids, you sound like you're ready to pop with this. So go full Lydia.
Okay. Trying to avoid my best not to summon Majin Lydia right now because you do not want to meet her right now. But this, I get the memory lapses. You're not getting any younger, Vince. But really, Caitlyn isn't attractive, and Kelly was the mold. Honey, sweetie, booby, no. Women are not sideshow attractions anymore. They are legitimate athletes. And I'm going to hate myself for saying this, but I'm glad that Triple H and Stephanie have a little bit of control over you. Because good God, what would the WWE do with people like Asuka and Shinsuke Nakamura if Vince was completely in charge of it? Imagine that. That kind of thought.
I don't think Vince is completely in charge of himself these days, let alone be in charge of the company.
Just, the thought of that gives me nightmares, and I'm just really, really glad that he hopefully retires and goes away because the business would be a lot better off for it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I've said this multiple times down the years. I respect and admire the man for what he has built as a billion-dollar global conglomerate. When it was just a regional territorial wrestling promotion in the early 80s to what it is now through the new generation, the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, the PG Era, and as Triple H dubbed it 4 years ago, the Reality Era. You know, he took wrestling from the grungy, dim-lit arenas and he took it into mainstream. Now, in some places, it suffered, but would WWE be what it is today without Vince McMahon back in the day? I don't think it would. But, and as Lydia has just nailed it on the head, it's time for him to go. You know, because the fact he's now having memory lapses. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of a given. If you get to a certain point in life, you might forget one or two things. I mean, there are quite a few people in their 60s, 70s that still remember a lot. I mean, look at Stan Lee. All the things that he's done. He probably remembers stuff that he's done over the course of his life and career. And the man's 95. I got love for what you've done, man. But hearing all that and the nerve to say that Caitlyn is unattractive, Vince, Raiden, do I have your permission to use this line?
Go for it.
Boy! I mean, as Liz just said, are you blind? I will gladly take Caitlyn over the Bella Twins or Kelly. As Oni once said 7 years ago on the main event night. No, it wasn't main event night. It was Raw Down Rebound for Survivor Series 2011 because we were talking about Eve Torres versus Beth Phoenix for the Divas title at Survivor Series. He just goes, Bubby, this is how you take bumps. But if you did that, you'd probably break every plastic bone in her body. Which there's probably a level of truth to that. I mean, Kelly is a gorgeous woman. I won't discredit her for that. But when you make Jenna Maraska look like you fucked up.
Oh, jeez.
Dan Williams is asking, has anyone seen Money in the Bank? I haven't yet. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I will say I'm a little bit annoyed that they've put the Raw Women's belt back on Alexa Bliss this soon, because
Yeah.
boring, but it was very cathartic and very pleasing that Ronda put her through a table. I'm like, okay, they've put the Trish Stratus wannabe in her place, and I thought, good, because when Ronda comes off her 30-day suspension, which don't be surprised if it's Extreme Rules, where she comes off her suspension. Here's what I would like to see: Alexa defending her title against Ronda in an Extreme Rules cage match.
Yes.
And to make this even better, there is a ceiling to the cage. It's like, Alexa, the only way you're getting past Ronda is if you make her tap or pin her. You can't escape. Dan Williams says Carmella is a damn cheater. When was that not obvious?
Yeah, I think the phrase "duh" comes to mind.
I question why, James Ellsworth is back again, but, whatever.
Oh my God, that was so pissed the fuck off.
And the fact
I do not want to bring in Shinra because of that, because I was furious when I saw that.
And the fact he came out dressed as Oscar this week, it's like, why? It's creepy enough when when Goldust would come out doing interesting attire. You have James. Oh, the Empress will have her vengeance. Don't worry about that. Because remember this, Dan. Karma's a bitch, and so is James Ellsworth.
Oh! Oh!
I'm here all week. Right, we've had Lydia's 2 cents. Raiden, let the dogs go to war.
Uh-oh.
Back. Chill, dude. Chill. No, I already said what I said. Go back. All right. Yeah, I'm just like, bro, you done? Like, saying Caitlyn is not attractive, bro. Have you not seen her Instagram, man? Oh my God.
Ooh, I've seen a few of those pictures.
It's like, I don't even know what to say about this anymore. It's like Lydia says, you gotta go. Like, I don't know how many times WWE is gonna suffer with this guy, with all the pushes she's gonna give to the people he only likes. Because of that, superstars like Nakamura, Asuka, Cesaro, Joe, Danielson are still going to be put on the wayside because of his chosen few. So I don't know so for me, I just don't know when it's gonna stop, but hopefully it stops soon. Because with this, it's that time that wrestling is now evolving, and the sad part is he's not. So with that said, it's like what Triple H once said back in 2014: you either adapt or perish. And sadly, over the past couple of years, Vince has been perishing because of his left or right wing insanity, pushing people that other people like, but in hindsight, it just doesn't make sense. Talking to you, Lesnar.
And Roman.
Yeah.
Well, that leaves the Lena inverse of the group. I know you're going to have a thing or two to say about this. what are your thoughts on this? Because I have a fair idea you're going to go to some interesting places with this as well.
Well, I'm gonna try to stay as calm as possible. On one hand, I ascertain I say this a lot, but it kind of explains everything. Why all the matches have been mediocre, why all of the ideas are just out of touch and out of nowhere. This is definitely why I kind of look forward to which part of the end of the year he finally steps down, because this is what a friend of mine had informed me, that at the near end of the year, Vince McMahon is stepping down, and I do hope he puts someone in his place that knows what they're doing. Specifically, Paul, aka Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's actually given us things like NXT. He's been for the Women's Revolution. And this kind of needs to be done. And the fact that he's called who he's called unattractive, my dude, where are your eyeballs? Those ladies you mentioned are actually very pleasing on the eyes, and you're definitely off your rocker if you think that Kelly is the likes of the representation of the lady roster. No, my dude. No. That is utter and complete bullshit. That title belongs to the likes of Asuka, Charlotte Flair, to an extent Nia Jax, because she has been doing quite well. There's also the likes of Mickie James and various other lady athletes coming from the NXT roster. How about you open your eyes and just get a grip on reality? These are the ladies you want to see in action. These are the ladies that we want to see in action. No more bra and panty bullshit, which I'm glad that went out the window 2 years ago. Thank you, whoever suggested that. We do not want to see the same veterans clash over and over for the championship title. We want to see more of the likes of Nakamura, Styles, Asuka, Flair, James. Shoot, we want to see more of the cruiserweight candidates because they're also doing quite well. We want to see someone other than Roman Reigns as champion, and if you have to insist on keeping Roman in the roster, make him go heel. He sucks as a babyface. Or at least a freaking tweener. I would settle for a tweener, but stop pouring him out. He's boring. We want someone else's champion.
It's why some people. It's why some people. It's why some people. It's why some people go whenever Roman's music starts playing. They go boring, boring, boring. You're so boring, boring.
Pretty much. But yeah, if anything, by sounds of things, he needs to step down sooner than later. So yeah, that's my piece. I dropped my mic.
Adam Wofford said, I think it's time for Vince to take a one-way trip down to Florida. I think that should have happened 5 years ago. Because keep in mind, this is the same guy who thought we wanted to see Cena versus Rock for a second time. No. First time was crap. Second time was marginally better. But that is one feud I never want to see again. Although, I will say this much. Match-wise, it was more entertaining than Brock versus Roman. And that is a match, as Wins just said, I don't want to see that match ever again. The first time sucked. at WrestleMania 31, and this year's was even worse.
I still think Nakamura versus Styles should have been the freaking main event, not that match. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna lie.
Well, again, and it's a funny thing. I've been listening to CM Punk's back-to-back interviews on Colt Cabana. Those interviews are now vindicated. When he said Vince is not in touch, it's like, yep, everything he said in those podcasts 4 years ago, 100% vindicated. He would tell Vince these ideas that would actually help the business along. He's like, no, let's do it this way. I mean, because Vince honestly believed we all wanted to see Randy Orton versus Batista for Mania 30. Good Lord, no, that would have stunk the joint out. Because even Punk was saying at the time, it boggles my mind how Daniel Bryan has not figured into your plans for the main event of WrestleMania, because this is his year. And it was. I mean, granted, they probably changed the plans for WrestleMania's main event to spite Punk, but, let's be honest. If we were there at the Superdome in New Orleans for Mania 30 and it was Orton and Batista for the main event, we would have booed them out of existence. Because
at that point, I think a lot of people would have walked out. I'm like, okay, that's it. We're done. We're leaving. Bye.
Well, if you recall, Backlash, people were walking out on Joe versus Roman. It's like, this is a subtle hint, WWE. This isn't working. That'd be like... That'd be like if they tried to push an angle of, say, Miz versus Miz for 3 straight WrestleManias. Raiden would be like, no. For the love of gosh, no.
Yeah, I think half the planet would explode at that point. Like, no! If we hear that what's happened, it's like, Earth, it's been nice knowing you.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh. Yeah, that was telegraphed.
Dear God, my eyes would explode.
And what's worse is they're trying to push Miz back into a main event spot for the WWE title. I'm like, ugh.
Why?
Exactly. Because his first title reign wasn't exactly that memorable. I mean, yeah.
He was better off with the Intercontinental belt, but I don't think he's going to see that belt due to the fact that Dolph Ziggler's now holding it.
Well, the only reason that they've put it on Dolph is because his contract is slowly coming up and they're just trying to tempt him to resign.
Yeah.
But to be fair, let's be honest. Dolph is, 38 this year?
Ooh.
I think, yeah, because it's been 5 years since his Money in the Bank cash-in for the World Heavyweight title the night after WrestleMania 29. He can't have much left in him. And with Ziggler, it's a real shame with how they've mishandled him, because Pat Patterson pushed for Ziggler to... Kaiju's not able to be here for this evening, Adam. IRL technicalities. We're not going any further than that. Let's just leave it alone. Pat, like I say, Pat Patterson pushed for it, for the Money in the Bank. The fans went nuts for it. And then Vince purposely booked Ziggler to lose all of his matches whilst he was world champion. And then he says to people, he goes, see, told you I was right. And I'm like, what? It's like you purposely sabotaged your world heavyweight champion, a guy that was making you money, and you sabotage him just because he's not your guy. Vince, I'm going to just say this. please retire. Your best days are behind you. Please retire. The fact that you have to be reminded what happened on Raw from the previous week, that's a telltale sign. I don't know what else to say.